You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/ARTS. Just go to Indeed.com/ARTS right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need. You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/ARTS. Just go to Indeed.com/ARTS right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Tape Deck Media.
Welcome to Line by Line, Romeo and Juliet, a Ruddle Me This podcast mini-series. Over the next few weeks, I'm going to be bringing on actors, comedians, and other people that are knowledgeable about the bard himself, William Shakespeare. Each episode, I'm going to bring on a different guest, and we're going to go through the play line by line, and the guest is going to explain to me the bits of the language or add context here and there, basically just explain to me whenever I get stuck. I don't know how many episodes there are going to be of this. We're basically just going to see how far through the play we can get in the 40-minute Zoom time limit and go from there. So sit back, relax, and let's enjoy the show. Okay, Jeff Clark, welcome back again, my friend. Delightful to have you here.
Lovely to be here.
Let's get straight into it, see how much we can cover in this next month. So scene number 3 is Friar Lawrence's cell. Enter Friar Lawrence with a basket. Now, he is a fairly major character, if I understand correctly.
He is significant, yes.
And I think the idea of a priest maybe has changed somewhat. Maybe the public perception of a priest has changed somewhat since these days, because I think now, due to all the scandals and stuff in the Catholic Church, people look at priests as a bit of a dodgy character. But back in these times, a priest would have been sort of the paragon of virtue. Am I correct in thinking that?
Mostly.
Oh, we just lost Jeff. I'm going to pause the recording, and hopefully he's back shortly. So, and we're back.
Okay.
Right, so yeah, the character of the Friar, he would have been looked at as sort of a good sort of virtuous character.
Yeah, like in those days, and particularly in the context that they're doing here, a friar was like the town therapist, psychologist, social worker. They did do an important job. You know, they were helping look after people, and so they also make sure to clarify that he is a good guy.
Okay.
And he has some specific knowledge that is useful.
Yeah. So the scene is between Friar Lawrence and Romeo. Do you prefer either of the two?
I mean, I'm happy to. I love doing the monologue, so I'd be happy to just do Friar Lawrence's whole thing.
Alrighty, you're more than welcome to. So let's.
Do you want it with a silly accent?
Whatever you feel comfortable doing.
I'll just do. Yeah, I'll just do it a bit more priestly. The grey-eyed morn smiles on the frowning night, checkering the eastern clouds with streaks of light, and flecked darkness like a drunkard reels from fourth day's path and Titan's fiery wheels. Now, ere the sun advance his burning eye, the day to cheer and night's dank dew to dry, I must upfill this osier cage of ours with baleful weeds and precious juiced flowers. The earth that nature's mother is her tomb. What is her burying grave? That is her womb. And from her womb children of divers kind we sucking on her natural bosom find. Many for many virtues excellent, none but for some, and yet all different. Oh, mickle is the powerful grace that lies in herbs, plants, stones, and their true qualities. For naught so vile that on the earth doth live, but to the earth some special good doth give, nor aught so good but strained from that fair use, revolts from true birth, stumbling on abuse. Virtue itself turns vice, being misapplied, and vice sometimes action dignified. Within the infant rind of this small flower, poison hath residence and medicine power. For this, being smelt, with that part cheers each part, being tasted, slays all senses with the heart. Two such opposed kings encamp them still, in man as well as herbs, grace and rude will. And where the worser is predominant, full soon the canker death eats up that plant.
Okay, so he dropped a lot of information in that monologue.
Oh, not a lot. It's basically some plants are good, some plants are bad. Most plants have both. It can be good or bad depending on how you use it.
But the plant that he's talking about is kind of a bit of a Chekhov's gun for
Yeah,
later in the play as
very
well.
much so.
Okay, yeah.
Absolutely. Like we're establishing, Friar Lawrence knows his plants. He knows how to get the medicinal and the poisonous from these various plants.
Okay. So he's just
And then, of
talking to
course, he
himself
said,
there.
"Oh yeah. He's just basically saying, well, it's morning, time to do some weeding. It's basically time to gather some plants, and I'm
Yeah.
going to use these plants for yeah, some of them can be medicinal, some of them can be poisonous, and same thing with humans. You
Yeah.
know, we've got qualities that can be good and bad depending on how we choose to use it. If we do something bad, we can redeem it. Sometimes, if we do virtue the wrong way, it is vice.
Yeah.
You know, so it's wonderful foreshadowing because, like you say, it does set up the big thing at the end. But it also just talks about, you know, well, there's a time and a place,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Okay.
know.
I like this character so far. So then
Yeah.
Romeo says, "Good morrow, father."
Benedicte, what you early tongue so sweet saluteth me? Young man, it argues a distempered head to bid so soon to bid good morrow to thy bed. Care keeps his watch in every old man's eye, and where care lodges, sleep will never lie. But where unbruised youth with unstuffed brain doth couch his limbs, there golden sleep doth reign. Therefore thy earliness doth me assure thou art uproused by some distemperature. Or if not so, then here I hit it right. Our Romeo hath not been in bed tonight.
So Friar Lawrence is a cunning he's a cunning figure, isn't he?
Yeah, he's like, oh, you're up really early. Too early. You haven't been to bed, have you? Yeah,
Something's up.
yeah.
Yeah. So then Romeo says, "That last is true. The sweeter rest was mine."
God pardon sin. What's thou with Rosaline?
They're rhyming each other as well.
Yeah, they are. This is all in verse. Like the whole bit in the start was vert rhyming, and it's
Ah,
wonderful because it is, yeah, like the whole speech about you heard me sort of
yes,
change some
you.
of the sound of some of the
Yeah, no,
words,
you
but
did
that's
well.
because it was written to be rhymed.
So then Romeo says, "With Rosaline, my ghostly father, no, I have forgot that name, and that name is woe."
So that's my good son. But where hast thou been then?
I'll tell thee, ere thou ask me it again, I have been feasting with mine enemy, whereon sudden one hath wounded me, that's by me wounded both our remedies. Within thy help and holy physic lies, I bear no hatred, blessed man, for is that O? EO?
Low. Yeah,
Lo,
low.
my intercession likewise steads my foe.
Be plain, good son, and homely in thy drift. Riddling confession finds but riddling shrift. Basically,
Romeo.
stop
Oh yeah.
speaking poetic. Just tell me
Yeah,
what's going on.
tell me what the problem is. Romeo says, then
Yeah.
plainly know my heart's dear love is set on the fair daughter of rich Capulet. As mine on hers, so hers is set on mine. And all combined, save what thou must combine. By holy marriage, when and where and how. We met, we wooed, and made exchange of vow. I tell thee as we pass, but this I pray, that thou consent to marry us today.
Well, that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
He's pretty much told him exactly what's
Yep.
going on.
I'm keeping up with him so far.
And yep, and Friar Lawrence is like, Holy St. Francis, what a change is here! Is Rosaline, who thou didst love so dear, so soon forsaken? Young men's love then lies not truly in their hearts, but in their eyes. Jesu Maria, what a deal of brine hath washed thy sallow cheeks for Rosaline! How much salt water thrown away in waste to season love that of it doth not taste! The sun not yet thy sighs from heaven clears, thy old groans ring yet in my ancient ears. Lo, here upon thy cheek the stain doth sit of an old tear that is not washed off yet. If e'er thou wash thyself, and these woes thine, thou and these woes for all for Rosaline. And art thou changed? Pronounce this sentence then. Women may fall when there's no strength in men. So
Right.
he's saying, hey, like a couple of days ago, you were
Yeah.
just weeping and crying and saying how much you loved Rosaline.
Yeah.
And you've just seen another girl and that's all sorted out. I love that line, the young men's love then lies not truly in their hearts, but in their eyes. There's a great pause before in their eyes.
Yep,
I
you
just
nailed that.
wanted
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
But he could just be, but not truly in their hearts, but in their eyes.
Yeah.
You can deliver it a few times.
There's
It
no
could be a
room
double
for it.
entendre, or it could just be there's no heart. It's just your eyes. You've just
Yeah.
seen someone prettier, and that's it.
That's right. Yeah, I definitely, I think we can all relate to Friar Lawrence here when someone,
Yeah.
a friend of yours has been moaning about something, love woes or something like that. And then as soon as,
Yeah.
the new part, someone they meet someone new, suddenly all that,
Yeah.
Rosalind who kind of thing. And you're like, come
Yeah,
on,
exactly,
man.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then Romeo says, thou child's me oft for loving Rosaline,
For doting, not for loving, pupil mine.
and badst me bury love.
Not in a grave, to lay one in, another out to have.
I pray thee chide not. She whom I love now doth grace for grace, and love for love allow. The other did not so.
Oh, she knew well, thy love did read by rote and could not spell. But come, young waverer, come go with me, in one respect I'll thy assistant be. For this alliance may so happy prove to turn your household's rancour to pure love.
So that's an interesting line there. So I was going to say as well, Friar Lawrence's pupil mind. So is Friar Lawrence a bit of a mentor sort of figure to Romeo?
Yeah. He's been like social worker, like probably would have been responsible for some of Romeo's education, which is how he
Ah,
knows him.
yeah,
He would, he's given him good counsel. Like he's
yeah,
obviously been talking to him about how much he loves Rosaline, etc. And that's the whole point.
yeah,
He's saying thou chidest me off for loving Rosaline, and he makes it very clear for doting, not for loving. The
yeah,
difference there,
yeah,
And then bury love, not in a grave to lay one and another out to have. It's like you don't just bury one love and then pull another one out.
yeah,
But he is saying, you know what? I actually think there could be some good in this,
yeah,
in
yeah.
terms of you love a Capulet, Capulet loves you.
Hmm.
Let's end. This may alliance may so happy prove to turn your household's rancor to pure love.
That's right.
And then,
Oh, I was going to say one other thing.
oh yeah,
He says, it sounds like Romeo is like, oh, Rosalind didn't even know I loved her. And he goes, oh, no, she knew. But like, she wasn't interested kind of thing. So then
yeah.
Romeo says, oh, let us hence. I stand on sudden haste.
Wisely and slow, they stumble that run fast.
And then that is the end of that scene.
That's the end of the
Excellent.
scene.
So that is quite a short one
Yeah.
there.
It is a
Um,
very short one.
it is, yeah.
But it's basically, and now we've got a priest. So marriage is definitely going to happen.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm not sure if there's a heap else that we can I'm sure if there's not sure if there's a heap else that we can unpack from that scene there. Was there anything else that jumped out at you?
No, I mean, it's basically he's got good intentions. He has all the best intentions. He's like, well, this is a bit weird that you've just immediately moved on, but
Yeah.
love is quick.
Yeah.
And I guess we could make some good of this. If you
Yeah.
both get together, that could actually protect the city. It could
Yeah.
mean an end to the enmity and the rancor.
That's right.
Not the Star Wars monster, but just
Yeah.
stuffiness.
I was
Yeah.
just thinking of a Magic the Gathering card called Rancor, which is like a, give all creature or give a creature +2/+0 or something. I don't know what the card does anymore, but yeah, that was the one there. Well, I guess What do we do now? I'm not really sure because that's sort of too short to be an episode. Should we just see how far we get in the next scene and then I can sort of cut it
Yeah,
together here?
sure.
Okay.
Yeah, sweet.
So scene four, a street because it's a long one. Just listener, beware. We're
Yeah.
gonna stop this when we run
I
out of
will
time.
try not to make too many comments and things. Let's see if we can just get through it because there isn't
Righto.
a lot. It's basically, meanwhile, in
Yeah.
other parts of Verona,
Yeah.
what happened to those other characters we met? Let's find out what they're doing.
I quite like Benvolio, so would you mind if I Benvolio?
Yeah, sweet.
Okay.
Where the devil should this Romeo be? Oh, Mercutio, sorry. Where the devil should this Romeo be? Came he not home tonight?
Benvolio, not to his father's. I spoke with his man.
Ah, that same pale, hard-hearted wench, that Rosaline, torments him so that he will sure run mad.
Tybalt, the kingsman of old Capulet, hath sent a letter to his father's house.
A challenge on my life.
Romeo will answer it.
For any man that can write may answer a letter.
Nay, he will answer the letter's master, how he dares, being dared.
Ah, alas, poor Romeo. He is already dead, stabbed with a white wench's black eye, shot through the ear with a love song, the very pin of his heart cleft with the blind bow boy's butt shaft. And is he a man to encounter Tybalt?
Why? What is Tybalt?
More than Prince of Cats, I can tell you. Oh, he is the courageous captain of compliments. He fights as you sing prick song, keeps time, distance, and proportion, rests me his minim rest, 1, 2, and the third is in your bosom. The very butcher of a silk button, a duelist, a gentleman of the very first house, of the first and second cause. Ah, the immortal passado, the punto reverso, the high.
The what?
Pox of such antic, lisping, affecting fantasticos, these new tuners of accent. By Jesu, a very good blade, a very tall man, a very good horn. Why is this not a lamentable thing, grandsire, that we should be thus afflicted with these strange flies, these fashion mongers, these perdonnees who stand so much on the new form that they cannot at ease on the old bench? Oh, their bones, their bones.
Mercutio taking off into one of his signature rants.
Oh, yeah,
So-
basically saying Tybalt's a fancy dick. He does all this fancy sword fighting stuff. Like, that's the whole thing. It's like Tybalt's issued a challenge to Romeo because he's found out he was at the party.
Mhm.
And Mercutio's going, oh, well, he's the captain of cats. He's a big fancy man with a fancy sword.
He's not a real kind of fighter. He's all
Yeah.
all sizzle and no steak or whatever they would say.
Yeah. And the whole thing about Romeo, yeah, he's already dead. He's been stabbed with a white witch's black eye, shot through the ear with a love song, very pit of his heart cleft with the blind bow boy's butt shaft. That's Cupid.
That's right.
The blind bow boy, and it's lovely. It's lovely. It's just like, oh, well,
How do you kill him? When he's already dead, kind of thing.
yeah, exactly.
I was curious about this. Does it ever make any point to describe whether Romeo is actually a good fighter or not?
No,
Because I wonder, he doesn't really seem like he definitely seems like he would be the sort of gentle son of the family.
yeah, but he's also a son of a well-off family, so he would have
Yeah.
had fencing lessons.
That's
just
right.
like Tybalt has had fencing lessons and things like that. Also, when we get to the fight, it's nasty.
Yeah,
Like we see a play fight that gets serious. Like you can play sorry for all the foreshadowing, but how competent and how elegant and how raw and visceral the fight is gets worse. Like it starts off as fun and then gets completely out of hand
right.
and then spins off.
There was a I've seen because I remember the fight from the Baz Luhrmann one. We might be jumping ahead a little bit here, but like I remember
Yep.
that quite distinctly. And then I also had watched it was a fight from another movie. I don't know what year the movie was from, but it was like, that was they were in the time that Romeo and Juliet happened thing. And I've actually seen a couple, and yeah, it is played almost like they're not taking it seriously at first, but then it escalates quite
it
a
just
lot.
escalates. Yeah.
So I think that's interesting because it's sort of the idea that these are all still teenage boys, right? And it's like, yeah, sure, they had a fence and stuff, but they're still going to be quite
Exactly.
hot-headed and yeah. So
Yeah.
then Benvolio says, oh, so enter Romeo. Benvolio says, here comes Romeo, here comes Romeo.
Without his roe, like a dead dried herring, flesh, flesh, how art thou fishified? Now is he for the numbers that Petrarch flowed, and Laura to his lady was but a kitchen wench. Marry, she had a better love to berhyme her. Dido a dowdy, Cleopatra a gypsy, Helen and Hero, Hildings and harlots, Thisbe a grey eye also, but not to the purpose. Signor Romeo, bonjour. There's a French salutation to your French slop. You gave us the counterfeit fairly last night.
Mercutio is he's a character, isn't he? The way he's always
Oh,
sort
yeah,
of yeah. If Romeo's
He's
going melodramatic, he's sort of in the comedy direction, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's much more self-aware. I think he's a big old fancy party boy.
Yeah. And I think is there an element of Mercutio being kind of like almost not the straight man as such, but almost pointing at how ridiculous a lot of the stuff is?
Oh, yeah, 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 that's the whole point. He
Yeah.
is even more fantastical in his language, but he's also like, you're dumb, Romeo. Just
Yeah.
put your seat about. Don't fall for these ladies.
Right.
And he's like saying, Dido, Cleopatra, Helen, Hero, Thisbe, all classic beauties,
Yeah.
you know?
That's
So
right.
he's just, saying, all these ladies.
Yeah. You would have fallen for all of them kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Okay. So I'll do because Romeo and Benvolio are quite short sentences, I'll do both of
Yeah,
them.
yeah, sure.
So Romeo says, Good morrow to you both. What counterfeit did I give you?
The ship, sir, the slip. Can you not conceive?
Romeo says, Pardon, good Mercutio, my business was great, and in such a case as mine, a man may strain courtesy.
That's as much to say. Such a case as yours constrains a man to bow in the hands.
Romeo, meaning to curtsy, is it what he says?
Meaning to curtsy.
To
Yeah, I think he's
curtsy.
saying, yeah. Thou hast most kindly hit it.
A most courteous exposition.
Nay, I am the very pink of courtesy.
Pink for the flower.
Right.
Why then is my pump well flowered?
Well said. Follow me this jest now till thou hast worn out thy pomp, that when the single soul of it is worn, the jest may remain after the wearing soul singular.
For single soul jest, solely singular for the singleness.
Oh, come between us, good Benvolio. My wits faint.
So at this point here, is Romeo bantering back with Mercutio, or is
Yeah,
Oh, so they're
absolutely.
they're
And
playing around a bit,
Mercutio's
yeah.
loving it because it's like they're actually joking again.
And so is Romeo sort of doing that kind of like a gentleman never kisses and tells, but I'm kind of implying to you what's happened
Yeah, the
sort of thing.
whole worn out the pump sort of thing. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, what's going on here?
gotcha. Locker room talk, I believe they call it, right?
Kind of. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So then Romeo says, switch and spurs, or I'll cry a match.
Nay, if thy wits run the wild goose chase, I have done, for thou hast more of the wild goose in one of thy wits than I am sure I have in my whole five. Was I with you there for the goose?
Thou wast never with me for anything when thou wast now there for the goose.
I will bite thee by the ear for that jest.
Nay, nay, good goose, bite not.
Thy wit is a very bitter sweeting. It is a most sharp sauce.
And is it not well served into a sweet goose?
Oh, here's a wit of Cheveril that stretches from an inch narrow to an ell broad.
I stretch it out for that word broad, which added to the goose proves thee far and wide a broad goose.
Why, is this not better now than groaning for love? Now art thou sociable, now art thou Romeo, now art thou what thou art, by art as well as by nature, for this drivelling love is like a great natural that runs lolling up and down to hide his bauble in a hole.
So
So it's
Mercutio,
like,
yeah,
yeah, he's saying, oh, great, isn't this better than being in love?
yeah.
Just making dirty jokes. Double entendres. Come on, man.
It's good to
Dribbling
have.
love, that's dumb. Runs up and down to hide his bauble in a hole. I mean, that's
Mm,
that's almost a single entendre, really.
yes. So Mercutio's kind of saying to him, like, we've got our boy back. Like, he's he's
Yeah,
he's back to himself again, yeah.
yeah, exactly.
So then Benvolio says, stop there, stop there.
Thou desirest me to stop in my tail against the hair?
Thou wouldst else have made thy tail large.
Oh, thou art deceived. I would have made it short, for I was come to the whole depth of my tail, and meant indeed to occupy the argument no longer.
So Mercutio's given him the like, yeah, I was just about to stop when,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mercutio, I quite like him. He's very funny. So
He's very
then
nice.
Romeo says, here's goodly gear. Enter nurse and Peter.
A sail, a sail.
2-2, a shirt and a smock.
Basically, she's big.
Ah,
He's
right,
talking about the
right,
clothing. It's like he's talking about the big clothing that she's wearing. You know,
right.
a sail.
Oh, a
And then Benvolio's
sail.
saying, "Oh, two sails because she's got a shirt and she's got a smock,
Oh my
like two large
goodness.
bits of fabric." Yeah.
Yeah. So the nurse says, Peter. Peter says, anon.
Anon.
Nurse says, my fan, Peter.
Good Peter to hide her face for her fans, the fairer face.
Uh, God, God ye and good morrow, gentlemen.
God ye good den, fair gentlewoman.
Is it good then?
'Tis no less, I tell you, for the bawdy hand of the dial is now upon the prick of noon.
Out upon you. What a man are you.
One gentlewoman that God hath made for himself to mar.
By my troth, it is well said, for himself to mar, quoth a gentleman, can any of you tell me where I might find the young Romeo? Oh,
Yeah,
Romeo
so
says,
basically he's just making dirty jokes at the nurse, and she's like, "Oh, is it the afternoon? Is it good? Like good den,
mm,
good evening? Is
yeah,
it good evening? 'Tis no less, for it's just gone to noon."
yeah.
And the whole
It's
prick thing. Yeah.
so this is Juliet's nurse, right?
Yes.
Okay. So then Romeo says, I can tell you, but young Romeo will be older when you have found him than he was when you sought him. I am the youngest of that name, for fault or worse. Sorry, for fault of a worse.
Yeah.
Nurse says, you say well.
Yea, is the worst well? Very well took, if faith. Wisely, wisely.
If you be he, sir, oh, this is nurse. If you be he, sir, I desire some confidence with you. Benvolio. She will indict him to some supper.
Aboard, 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 so ho!
So Mercutio is essentially doing that thing where he's nudging his friend saying, hey, look, it's your girlfriend over there, sort of thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, basically.
So Romeo says, what hast thou found?
No hair, sir, unless a hair, sir, in a Lenten pie, that is something stale and hoar ere it be spent. An old hare whore and an old hare whore is very good meat in Lent. But a hare that is whore is too much for a score when it whores ere it be spent. Romeo, will you come to your father's? We'll to dinner thither.
I will follow you.
Farewell, ancient lady. Farewell, lady.
Excellent Mercutio and Benvolio. So just to quickly recap that, she's looking for Romeo. Mercutio, what is he exactly singing here? Is he making an innuendo?
Um, I'm not sure. I think the
Yeah.
whore there, like phonetically, obviously you can hear it sounds like a completely different word with
Mm,
very different uh, connotations, but it also means grayish white or grey-eared with age. So whore, frost, for instance, is a
yeah.
grayish white frost.
Yeah, yeah.
So an old hare and an old hare is a very good meat. So aged, yeah. So basically, if it gets
Uh,
old, it's that. But that's the point. He's saying whore a lot
yeah.
to a nun, which is kind of a big
Yeah, yeah.
disrespect thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's really being cheeky here, isn't he?
Yes, very
Yeah.
much so.
Okay. So then, excellent Mercutio and
Nurse and Romeo.
Benvolio. Yeah. So then nurse
Yep.
says, "Marry farewell, I pray you, sir. What saucy merchant was that? What was so full of his ropery?"
Um,
Romeo. Oh, you can.
I'll take over. Yeah.
Yep.
A gentleman nurse that loves to hear himself talk and will speak more in a minute than he will stand to in a month.
I feel like that's
That's
Mercutio, right?
Mercutio. I'm pretty sure Mercutio goes to a lot of poetry jams and open mic nights.
Yeah, yeah. So this is, and if speak anything against me, I'll take him down, and we're lustier than he is, and 20 such jacks. And if I cannot, I'll find those that shall. Scurvy knave, I am none of his flirt gills, I'm none of his skeins mates, and thou must stand by too and suffer every knave to use me at his pleasure.
So basically, well, he was a jerk.
Yeah,
I'll find someone to beat the crap out of him. And then
yeah.
Peter goes, I saw no man use you a pleasure. If I had, my weapon should quickly have been out, I warrant you. I dare draw as soon as another man, if I see occasion in a good quarrel and the law on my side.
So,
So it's basically, I didn't see him using you. I would have done something if I'd seen him being offensive.
so Peter is like, is this he would be a Capulet?
Just another, yeah, another Capulet staff.
Okay. So the nurse says, now, 'fore God, I'm so vexed that every part about me quivers. Scurvy knave, pray you, sir, a word. And as I told you, my young lady bade me inquire you out. What she bade me say I will keep to myself. But first let me tell ye, if ye should lead her into a fool's paradise, as they say, it were a very gross kind of behaviour, as they say, for the gentlewoman is young. And therefore, if you should deal double with her, truly it were an ill thing to be offered to any gentlewoman, and very weak dealing. So she's kind of saying there, like, she's trying to suss out how serious
Yeah.
Romeo is about Juliet. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're just trying to get into her pants, that's not a good idea.
Yeah.
Nurse, commend me to thy lady and mistress. I protest unto thee.
A good heart. So the nurse cuts him off. Good heart and
Yeah.
faith. I will tell her as much. Lord, Lord, she will be a joyful woman. So that's all it took.
What? Yeah. What wilt thou tell her, nurse? Thou dost not mark me.
I will tell her, sir, that you do protest, which I take it as a gentleman-like offer.
Yeah. So basically, she's jumped the gun as well.
Wow.
And then he's like, yeah. To bid her devise some means to come to Shrift this afternoon, and there she shall, at Friar Lawrence's cell, be shrived and married. Here is for thy pains.
No, truly, sir, not a penny.
So he's given her some money.
Yeah.
I say you shall.
This afternoon, sir? Well, she shall be there.
And stay, good nurse, behind the abbey wall. Within this hour my man shall be with thee, and bring thee cords made like a tackled stair, which to the high top gallant of my joy must be my convoy in the secret night. Farewell, be trusty, and I'll quit thy pains. Farewell, commend me to thy mistress. So basically, he's saying, within an hour, my man is going to give you a rope ladder, and that's how I'm going to get into Juliet's room.
Ah, of course. I'll bring thee cords made like a tackled stair. Ah, yeah, there you go.
Which to the high top gallant of my joy must be my convoy in the secret night. So it's basically so I can get into the balcony.
Yeah.
Wink, wink, wink. So basically, anyone who has done a previous balcony scene, which shows the ease with which he can get in and out of her room, is wrong because
Yes.
Romeo, Shakespeare thought about it. Romeo needs a rope ladder to get up there.
Beautiful.
That's what's going to happen.
Fantastic. So then nurse says, now God in heaven, bless thee, hark you, sir.
What sayest thou, my dear nurse?
Is your man's secret? Did you ne'er hear say, hang on, let me do that again. Is your man's secret? Did you ne'er hear say, two may keep counsel, putting one away?
Which is basically the whole, three people can keep a secret if two of them are dead. So he's basically, So he's like, did you tell that guy to do that? And he's like,
Yeah.
And he's like, I warrant thee, my man's as true as steel.
Well, sir, my mistress is the sweetest lady, lord. Oh, sorry, sweetest lady. Lord, when 'twas a little prating thing. Oh, there is a noble woman in town, one Paris, that would fain lay knife abroad. But she, good soul, had as lief see a very toad to see him. I anger her sometimes, and tell her that Paris is the properer man. But I'll warrant you when I say so, she looks as pale as any clout in the versal world. Doth not Rosemary and Romeo begin both with a... I apologize to the listener, I really butchered that, but you get the idea.
That's okay.
She's basically saying Paris has designs on her, but she's not really that keen. She thinks he's a toad.
Yeah, she's basically bouncing about there. She's, saying, oh, my mistress is so sweet. Oh, when she was little. Oh, there's actually Paris around who might be a bit of trouble, but she doesn't like him. Oh, sometimes I tell her that Paris is good, but, but when I say that, she looks pretty pale. And then not Rosemary and Romeo both begin with a letter. It's like,
Yeah.
I nurse, what of that? Both with an R.
Ah, Mocker. That's the dog's name. R is for the... No, I knew it begins with some other letter. And she had the prettiest sententious... God, there's so many words that are new for me. Sententious of it.
Yeah.
Of you and Rosemary. That it would do you good to hear it.
Commend me to thy lady.
Aye, 1,000 times. Exit
Romeo.
Romeo. Peter.
Anon.
Peter, take my fan and go before and apace.
So basically, you go head to head.
Hell yeah, we got through it.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of analysis to be done in this because we're sort of just getting a bit of a roll on it.
Moving
and
the plot along, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So Romeo shows up. He's in a really good mood now. He's more like himself. He's happy. He's not pining. He's in love. Nurse shows up. Mercutio jests with them. And then Nurse and Romeo just make arrangements to get married real fast.
Mercutio really is a sort of fun character, isn't it? I almost feel like, in a way, he, as much as us, is observing the story play out a little bit. Like, it feels like Mercutio is not necessarily connected to anything. Like, he's kind of just along for the ride, and he's enjoying seeing everything.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. He's kind of that sort of, he's not a Capulet, he's not a Montague, he's kind of an observer, he's kind of mixed up in it. He's friends with Romeo. It's like, yeah, we don't really know what his whole stake is in this whole
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
And basically it's just he's Romeo's best one of Romeo's be- he's best Romeo's best friend or one of his best friends.
yeah,
And yeah, he has no skin in the game, really.
yeah,
And that's kind of the problem, is that he is complete laissez-faire attitude
yeah.
and sort of it's all a joke,
Mm.
you know?
He does seem to get a little frustrated with Romeo. Like, he obviously wants to have his friend back, or he wants his friend to be in this sort
Yeah.
of bantering mood. But yeah, otherwise he's sort of just commentating on everything and sort of mocking, oh yes, love suck dummy, love sick dummy, and all that kind of thing. When Romeo is waxing
Yeah.
poetic about things. Um, the nurse sort of a sort of friar. What was the character called again? Friar.
Brian Lawrence.
Friar Lawrence. Is she sort of Juliet's mentor? Her Alfred Pennywise, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of Pennyworth, not Pennywise.
Sorry, yeah, that's the kind from it.
That's very. Hey there, do you want a
Master-
balloon, Juliet?
Master Wayne,
but no,
everything
no.
floats down here.
The real, and that's the kind of point there, is that they've both got these really nice contrasts. The nurse is bombastic and boisterous and emotional,
Yeah,
and that's a real strong contrast to Juliet. And Friar Lawrence is thoughtful and well-learned and rational, which is a great contrast to Romeo.
yes,
And whoever gets to read the next scene is going to get a great time with the little teasing between the nurse and Juliet. But it is really nice to see those relationships.
yeah. I believe someone that you may know, Josiah Morgan, I think his name is, his full name.
Oh,
He
yes,
is
yes, yes, yes.
a theatre person. He was telling me he's currently performing Caesar, I think he's doing, or he was doing it
Great.
overseas or something.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm going to record with him in person on Friday. So not
Oh,
long after
nice.
this, I'll let him know where we got up to. And
Yep.
but yeah, I guess we'll just sort of wrap it up there. I appreciate your time again, Jeff. Once again, for the listeners, Kamikaze Jeff on Instagram, Gary Starlight performer on
Yeah, Gary Starlight sings on Facebook. Yeah.
there you go, who you were recently in the press as Gary Starlight.
Yes, I was.
Did you do an interview or anything for that?
I did do an interview. It was lovely. Yeah.
Fantastic. And then I think you are also Jeff Clark, comedian, Jeff Clark, performer.
Just got performer. Yeah.
All
Because it
of
doesn't really capture all the different stuff that I do.
all of I feel like I got a real treat. I got to see you sing today. That's one of the things that you're known for. So
I
yeah.
mean, not well, but I was channeling Mercutio for that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you again for joining me, Jeff. I really appreciate it. And you have a lovely rest of your day.
Yeah, no worries. Cool.
So that is going to bring us to the end of episode 7 of Line by Line, Romeo and Juliet. Now, I might have to be the bearer of some bad news here, as currently, when I'm recording this, just before the end of December 2024, you will be listening to this sometime in February 2025. But yeah, so at this point, I have done 7 episodes. And it's been a lot of work. It's basically been giving myself a whole nother podcast to do on top of my main podcast. I also severely underestimated how long it was going to take to get through this whole play. It's been an incredibly enjoyable process to do. But at the end of the year, I always sort of stop and reevaluate what I'm doing to see if certain projects are worth continuing. So before I go ahead and do another potentially 7 episodes, I think we are at the halfway point now of the play roundabout. I just want to make sure that there is actually a demand for another 7 episodes before I go and do that. It's a lot of work trying to coordinate people across time zones. All the actors that I've got on are very busy people, they're comics as well, so it's been a lot of work trying to get the schedules together. So yeah, I just want to make sure this is something that people are listening to and enjoying. So if you have gotten up to episode 7 and you want more, please send me a DM on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever it is, at Taylor Ruddle Comedy on all those social media networks. and just tell me that you want more line by line. Because if not, if there's no demand for it, no hard feelings, I will probably just go ahead and independently read the end of the play myself. It's been a lot of fun. It's genuinely been really, really eye-opening to do this project. But I just want to make sure that there is the demand for me to finish it. So once again, yeah, if you enjoyed it so far, please tell me, and I will make more of them. Otherwise, this could be the end for Line by Line. I assume whenever you're listening to this, you'll be able to check the podcast feed and see if there are more episodes. So if there are more, looks like there was the demand. If not, then thank you so much for listening to these first 7 parts. I've enjoyed the process so much. It's been a lot of work, but it's been very enjoyable. And so for now, I say goodbye. That has been Line by Line. Thank you so much for listening, and I'm sure I'll talk to you again very, very soon.
This has been a Tape Deck Media production. Thank you for listening.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/ARTS. Just go to Indeed.com/ARTS right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.